What the fuck is up, my MMA degenerates? Today I'm back with another banger. And if y'all didn't peep the last one, go check it out. Because I went 4 of 4. You know, fuck that. I went 5 of 5. I called Otani pulling out of the Contender Series, which he did on fight night after already weighing in. I knew that motherfucker wasn't right. He was never ready for Cody Steele. So I'm giving myself 5 of 5 on predictions that night. I may have not predicted the right ways of finish, but does that really matter, my boys? I picked the right winners. Even the underdog who everyone on MMA YouTube was fading. Everybody was fading Musasa. What did he do? He came through. And it doesn't matter if you don't think he won. He got the fucking win and is still undefeated. So fuck off. Now let's get into the real fucking spiel. We're starting off with another banger of UFC 306. I'm gonna be fucking honest. This fight, this card, fucking dog shit, dude. Dana put all of his fucking money into buying the Sphere. He put all of his money into the venue. The fighters on this card are mostly dog shit. And he appealed to the Mexican Independence Day theme and just put a bunch of Mexican fighters on there. And they're not, I don't want to shit on the Mexicans out there, but y'all don't got any top fighters for real. And that's my issue with this card. But let's get straight into the picks and predictions, because I'm here to make y'all some money. You feel me? And that's what we're going to start off with. Let's dive straight into it, boys. I'll be giving the betting breakdown, all my plays at the end. Listen for the analysis. We'll start with the first fight on the card. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Eric Colon. What I'll say about Rosas, he's a high-level grappler. He's really big for the division. He doesn't have the best hands. He's definitely not the strongest, but he's been improving his boxing recently. You can definitely see the work he's putting in. I'll say he was beat up by Christian Rodriguez pretty bad. But, you know, he's a young guy. Give him some slack. What I'll say about Ori Colon, he could have won his debut, but he got dropped to end the second round after, I thought, winning almost the whole round. But he got dropped bad, almost finished. And in his last loss, he was chinned by an overhand right, just put down bad. And I'll say he also struggles against grappling. He's not terrible, but he's definitely not a high-level grappler. And I'll definitely be picking Rosas to finish this fight late. I think he'll just be too big and will overwhelm Kalang. Probably just mixing up, being the overall better fighter. I see him getting the finish late in the second round, maybe third round, by submission. Let's move on to the next fight. We got Shariez versus Joshua Van. What I'll say about Shariez is he's got some good boxing. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And the thing about him is he can get taken down and controlled. And from when I've watched his fights, he kind of just accepts bottom position and he doesn't really look to get up. I don't know if he's just not very good at getting up off the ground, but he's not really active on the ground, on the bottom, which is, you never like to see that in an MMA fighter. He's got some good low kicks, but he doesn't add a lot of volume. He's very low volume striker, only 1-punch, 2-punch combinations at max. What I'll say about Joshua Van, he is very hittable, but he has good power and IQ. He's very small for flyweight, which is crazy. He's small for flyweight, so he has to be skilled. I mean, he attacks the body, and he's got impressive pressure for his size. You know, he's walking dudes down that are just way taller than him. And he can mix it up and utilize the takedown game. Now, red flag for Joshua Van. He got knocked out 2 months ago and beat up pretty bad. But that could make him the underdog here. So maybe there's money to be made for us boys. Because I see Van getting the decision win pretty fucking easily. Now let's go on to the next fight. We've got Caitlin Souza versus Yasmin Uruguay. Yeah, I probably butchered the fuck out of that, but fuck it. So we'll start with Yasmin. She got a long frame for the women's division with great ground control. She got questionable boxing, KO'd in the first minute by Gomez, and she really shut her off. Like, she comboed her up. I think this is a layup win for her after getting knocked out. She is a Mexican, and I think most of the Mexicans have been given pretty easy matchups. Let's go to Caitlin Souza. She's not very strong in the clinch, and her ground game is definitely questionable. She got knee barred very quickly in her UFC debut. She throws very hard shots. I think she's a Muay Thai background, and she's definitely not a great wrestler. I think Yasmin will probably be the better technical fighter with a little bit less power on her shots, but I do like her kickboxing. I think she'll mix it up well and get a pretty easy decision. On to the next fight. We've got Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Now Manuel, he's got crisp boxing with powerful shots. He puts people to sleep. He's impressive all over and can take people down. He can mix it up well. And he could be a real problem at lightweight. He's got real potential, and he's just running through all the competition that they've been giving him. So this is definitely a step up. Now for Ignacio, he's very long for the division, 6'3", and he makes him like to pressure every opponent he has. He's pressuring him pretty much. His striking's not the best, but he has good power with good kicks, and his gas tank is definitely questionable because in most of his losses he's been winning, and then just kind of slows down and doesn't have enough to give him the win. He can get taken down, especially on good time shots, but he is harder to keep down with his long frame. And most of his fights are wars, and he can usually edge guys out most of the time. I'm going to go with Torres to get the job done. I see him finishing Bahamondes in this fight. He's just a more complete fighter with solid power, and anytime he's got somebody hurt, he just pounces on him. He's got great killer instincts, and I think he'll get the finish in this fight, either by KO or submission. I see it probably being a KO, but it's hard to say because Bahamondes can eat shots for real. Let's go on to the next one, boys. Norma Dumont versus Irene Aldana. We'll start with Irene. She's a UFC vet, lots of wins and losses. Notable losses to Nunes, Holm, and Pennington. She has 3 knockouts in the UFC, so she's definitely got power for women. She's older in her career. I kind of think of her as the gatekeeper of her division. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I see. Now, Norma Dumont. She had a competitive close fight with Chiasson, who Aldana actually ended up beating, which is questionable, but she's on a 4-fight win streak, beating all of her competition very easily. She was knocked out early in her UFC career, but she's looked very impressive recently. And I think that she's just a more complete fighter. I think she'll just get Aldana down, and I think she'll be able to control her pretty easily. And that's why I'm going to have to go with Norma Dumont by decision in this one. I think Aldana's she's a little too old in her career. I think her time's past and gone. Now to the main card. And I'll be honest, there's only 3 fights I'm excited for on this main card, boys. This first fight, Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osborne. Why is this a main card fight, fellas? No UFC card would have this on the main event. Like, this might be worse than Bo Nickal's main card on UFC 300. Let's start with Ronaldo. He's got pretty good shot selection, boxing defense, rolls and blocks shots real well. He likes to pressure his opponents, and he will mix up the grappling. And when he does, he can get to his submissions pretty good. Now, Ode Osborne. He is a good striker, but he doesn't have much grappling. He got submitted by rear naked choke in his last 2 fights. He knocks people out who can't take a solid shot. He was also KO'd by Manel Cape by a flying knee. It was pretty crazy. He's fought some good comp, but he has looked very poor over his last 5 fights, and he's kind of a hot and cold fighter, What I'll say about this fight, I see Rodriguez getting it done. He's a newer fighter. The UFC is trying to promote the Mexicans here, and I think he's gonna submit Osborne pretty early in the first or second round. I think he'll just be too much for him on the ground. You know, he won't. Ode Osborne does not have a good ground game. Now, this is a fight I am looking forward to right here, boys. Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. Start with Zellhuber. He's got a long frame for lightweight. Not as long as Bahamondes, but he's like 6'1", 6'2", and he's got pretty good hands with good takedown defense. His gas tank's definitely there, and he's got good fight experience for only 3 years in UFC. I think all of his fights have went to decision, maybe. So he definitely has some good experience, but he has questionable, and I mean questionable, finishing ability. He fought Orlando Veneta, and he could have definitely got the TKO win there, but he just not great shot selection and just not good killer instincts like my man Torres has. Torres is just ready to finish a fight, but Zellhuber, I think he just likes to fight, kind of in a weird sense. He wants the fight to keep going. For Ribovics, he was rocked in his first 5 seconds of his debut, and then taken down by a good wrestler. So that's where his only loss comes from. He arguably came back and won the second and third rounds of that fight. I watched it. I thought he could have got the win in that fight, but they didn't give it to him. He's got good power in his hands. His takedown defense isn't good, but he doesn't accept bottom. He gets up. He gets off his feet, and I think he's just going to be the more powerful striker. I think if he gets taken down, he'll be able to reverse the positions, and he has the power to knock Zellhuber out for sure. What I'll say it scares me about this fight is I didn't know Zellhuber was training at Extreme Couture. And Extreme Couture has one of the best coaches in the world in Eric Nixick. And that is very dangerous for Esteban, because they come up with some extremely good game plans over there, and they implement them very well with the right fighters. So I'm still going to go with Ribovics, but this is going to be a dog fight, and I'm going to be looking forward to this one. Let's go to the third fight on the main event. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Now what I'll say about Brian Ortega, he almost submitted Alexander Volkanovski after getting pieced up by Max for 4 rounds. He came back, submitted Yair Rodriguez in the 3rd round after a shoulder injury in their first fight where he got the TKO loss. He's got great ground game, but over his UFC career, his striking has no real improvements. Max was trying to teach this man how to fight, and he took away no knowledge from that. He was still getting beat up by Yair in their second fight. His last fight, he was still getting pieced up, but he's got that dog in him, and he got the submission win. Now let's go to Diego Lopez. He's a very explosive fighter with his last chance to cement himself as a real name. He's got a long career, and he's very experienced, and he had a very close fight with Evlov, who is like a decision merchant. He almost submitted that man, but he took the L in that fight. He was supposed to fight Ortega a few UFCs ago. I forget which one it was, but Ortega pulled out. He was sick, and he had a war with Dan Ige after 3 first-round finishes in a row. And I think Diego Lopez is just he's the hotter fighter right now. He wants it a little bit more than Ortega does. Ortega's been there, and he hasn't been able to get it done, and I think he realizes that. And Lopez is going to catch Ortega quick, put him down, and then pounce on the finish. And I think they're both really good grapplers, so I don't see this being a grappling fight, and if it is, I don't see Ortega having much of an advantage over Lopez. So give me Lopez by KO here. Next, to the first championship fight of the night. Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. What I'll say about Valentina Shevchenko is she won her last fight against Grasso. I think that she won that fight, and I don't know what the judges were on, but I think she definitely won that last fight. But she was submitted in their first bout after throwing a spinning kick, and Grasso just took her back and put her to sleep. It was pretty smooth. She's a good kickboxer, but she's getting a lot older, and she's definitely not as fast as she was. She used her grappling against Grasso both times, which was pretty shocking. She took her down and had good control over her in both fights. What I'll say about Alexa Grasso, she has very good Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. Her striking skills are not the best, but she can definitely still compete with Shevchenko on the feet. And I think that this might be a little crazy to say, but Grasso is going to win no matter if she actually wins the fight. Judges will give her the win because she's the more profitable champ. And she can compete with Shevchenko, and that'll be enough to give her the decision win. And that's going to be my pick. Grasso by decision. Let's move on to the most interesting fight of the night. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. We'll start with Merab. He's intense on his pressure. He's not even a good wrestler, but he just doesn't stop fucking coming after you. He's been KO'd before, and he was knocked down in his last fight against Henry. He's got a very small frame, but he's got that fucking dog in him, boys. He just keeps fucking coming at you. And he takes all his wins to decision through high wrestling pressure and just smothering his opponents. He is not great ground and pound, but he's not just like a Khabib kind of just lay on you and just keep you down. He'll give you some shots. Sean O'Malley. Y'all know the man. He's an elite shot selector. He's got good power in his hands. And I believe he's got an underrated ground game that we've never seen in the UFC. I mean, sure, Sterling got him down in round 1, but he got up and he didn't do anything with it. Like, his Brazilian jiu-jitsu is definitely there. He submitted, I think his name's Gomi, who was a very experienced MMA fighter. And he did it pretty easily, I think, so definitely do not sleep on this man's grappling. The thing that I think will win him this fight, though, is his elite movement. He understands his range better than anyone in the UFC. He knows where he has to be to send a shot and where it can land on. Like, he's just gonna, I think he'll dog walk Merab, because I don't think Merab will be able to get close without getting hit. And he's going to put Merab lights out on the canvas. That's why I'm taking Sugar by KO. The MMA Prophet is here to give you the profitable picks. And I'm here to make us all some money, boys. So let's start out with the 3-leg lock. I got Sugar by knockout. Rebovic's money line. And Diego Lopez money line for odds of plus 1,200. Plus 1,200 odds on a 3-leg, boys. That shit is going to be a lock. Rebovix is a dog, but he's winning. Sugar's knocking that fraud Merab out. Believe it. Let's move on to the prop parlay. And I can't give y'all the odds on this one because they don't have the the winning methods out on the books just yet, at least from what I can tell. But I got a 5-leg banger for y'all, boys. Started out with the one on the lock, Sugar by KO. Next, Rosas Jr. by sub or KO. He's finishing Quillang. He's not ready for Rosas. Next, Van by KO or decision. I'm going to lean towards decision, but Van's got some power, so I can never not think he could knock somebody out. Next, Diego Lopez by knockout. He's going to be too much on the feet for Ortega. He's going to knock that man out. And the last pick of this parlay, Alexa Grasso by decision. She's going to get it done. It'll be a close fight, be a scrappy fight, but she'll have the more tools to win it over in the eyes of the judges. Now let's go to the money line parlay. I got 8 picks for y'all. And I feel that these picks are the winners. Sugar money line, Grasso money line, Lopez money line, Ribovics money line, Rodriguez money line, Torres money line, Van money line, and to finish it off, Dumont money line. Now the odds on this shit, boys, is juicy. Plus 11,800. I'm telling y'all boys right here, this shit is gonna be a winner. Tap in for more plays. Stay posted for more content. I'll be back with the Contender Series episode for week 6, probably tomorrow or the next day. Stay posted, be safe, make some good plays, boys. And by the way, I am not a financial advisor in any way.